to the very first round of the first leg of the FIDE Grand Prix in Berlin. In this video we'll have a look at the comeback of Hikaru Nakamura to classical chess. Now Hikaru has now played for more than 2 years, and actually I checked the other day, his very last game was in the Grand Prix in Hamburg in 2019 on November 6th. So more than 2 years ago, and funnily enough, once again in Germany in the Grand Prix. He's played in the St. Louis Rapid and Blitz and in the World Rapid and Blitz. Anyway, so Bakro started the game off with the move 1 e4, and Hikaru just sticked with his guns e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, knight f6, the Berlin defense. Now there's a lot of things white can do against the Berlin. There's the move d3, which is a bit more combative because white keeps more pieces on the board. Black usually plays a move like bishop c5. Then there's a lot of options like trading on c6 is an option, c3 castling, a lot of things white can do. But in the game, Bakro went for short castles. Hikaru captured a pawn. Oh shoot. Hikaru captured, what is this? Hikaru captured a pawn on e4. And here traditionally the main line has always been the move d4. After d4, black continues with the move knight d6. And here white is a bit, white has two options. The main line has always been knight bishop takes c6, sorry. But there's also been games where white takes on b5, on d5, on e5, and after knight takes b5, a4. And there have been many exciting games that went on like this. This line is very exciting. A lot of fighting games have been played here at the top level. Lots of decisive results. But the main line really has always been, just kidding you guys, this is just one of the known drawing lines. The main line traditionally has always been trading on the c6, and taking on e5, and going into this endgame. Back in the day, this endgame was known to be very, very good for white, but in the 2000 World Chess Championship match between Garry Kasparov and Vladimir Kramnik used this opening to dethrone Kasparov and get a legendary World Championship match. So ever since that line, this opening sort of became playable. Anyway, lots of lines have come into fashion, and Rook e1 has also become one of the main moves. Thanks Miles for the gift at top. So after Rook e1, black goes knight d6, knight takes c5. Now here you do not take the bishop, because if you take the bishop, check, and you lose your queen. Don't do that. So what black does is go bishop e7, block the e-file, and then after bishop f1, black has two options today. So black can trade on e5, or black can go knight f5. Knight takes c5 is very solid for black. Then after castles, white has two options, either to go d4 or knight to c3. But Hikaru chose the other main move, which is to go knight f5. Now with the move knight f5, he's stopping d4 temporarily, which is why Bakro goes knight f3. And after d5, he goes d4, Hikaru castles, and knight to c3. So Hikaru actually had this in the World Rapid Chess Championship against Jan Nepomniachtchi in the penultimate round. That game ended in a very quick draw. He also said that he had two games in recent Title Tuesdays against Deac, the young Romanian GM. And I think in all those games he chose to move bishop e4, but he got into some trouble in those games. So in this game, I'm pretty sure he prepared this with Lil Jon. He played the move knight h4, turned down for what? So after knight h4, Bakro traded, Hikaru recaptured, knight e2 by Bakro. He wants to be able to go c3, solidify his center, and also to be able to go knight f4 and maybe put some pressure on this pawn on d5. So Hikaru develops the bishop to f5, and here's where Bakro had the real first think of the game. But eventually he chose to move knight f4, queen e7 by Hikaru, playing it all very solid, and after c3 the move rook a e8. He's just bringing in more pieces to the game, potentially trading down on the e-file. So Bakro played bishop e3, and here a very nice move from Hikaru. He played the move knight to d8, and he said that he vaguely remembered something like this. The point is very simple. He wants to go c6 to solidify this pawn on d5, also to be able to go knight e6 in some lines. Because let's say black is careless and plays a move like bishop e7, right, to put the bishop on d6. All of a sudden white has the move queen b3, hitting the pawn on b5 and the pawn on b7, and black's actually just losing a pawn here. Which is why Hikaru plays the move knight to d8, so then he can go c6 to solidify the pawn on d5. So knight d3 by Bacro, bishop e7. Nice move. This bishop wasn't really doing much on h4 anymore, and he wants to bring it back to d6. So queen b3 by Bacro, keeping an eye out on the pawn on d5. So c6 by Hikaru, and now bishop f4, putting this bishop on the diagonal. Knight e6 by Hikaru, bishop g3, queen c8, a nice solid move. He's just making sure that knight e5 never hits him with a tempo. So Bacro played the move knight e5 here, and this is where maybe Hikaru had his one chance to get a bit of an advantage, or at least imbalance the game somewhat. Here the best move would have been the move h5, but I mean, during the broadcast I was already feeling that, you know, maybe he just wants to keep it solid in the first round. That's also what he said in the interview. So h5 was a move. The point is that after h3, h4, bishop h2, bishop d6, this whole inclusion with pushing the pawn up to h4 is favorable for black, especially in the endgame, but of course it looks a bit weird pushing your h-pawn up the board like that. So Hikaru played the more solid bishop to d8. He wants to put his bishop on this diagonal to neutralize white's pressure. Now bishop d6 also looks like a move which does the same job, but here white has the move knight to g6, and suddenly black's in trouble. If you take this knight, this position just really sucks because white has the two bishops. This is really unpleasant. And if you take the bishop on g3, then white is going to take here. This knight can never get trapped because you can always take the knight here. And black can sacrifice the exchange, but he probably doesn't have enough compensation. So that is why Hikaru played the move bishop to d8, and he wants to go bishop to c7. So Bacro played bishop to d3. We're just trading here, and bishop to c7. Another pair of bishops gets traded off. Hikaru takes with a knight. During the broadcast, I was expecting the move queen takes, but actually knight takes is more precise. His idea is very clear. He just wants to trade on the e-file and then put the other rook on e8, and then after the trade he can take with the knight. And the queen still protects this pawn. So Bacro played a4, trade on e1, takes, rook e8, queen e1 played by Bacro, but he just traded on e1 and queen f5. After queen e3, a5, completely making the queen side symmetrical as well. And after h3, h5, h4, knight e6, Hikaru offered a draw. I mean, the rules in this tournament stipulate that you cannot offer a draw before black's 30th move. So I guess the players just felt that the position was just too symmetrical, nothing really to be done here, and this very first game ends in a draw. As a certain commentator said, this result is not bad, it's also not great. There was a lot of drama stirred up as a result, very unnecessary. I mean, come on, if you draw someone with black, who's 100 points low rated, it's not good, but it's also not great. Wait, it's not bad, but it's also not great. Anyway, so yeah, that wraps up round number 1 for Hikaru. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next one.